You walk around this building, and everyone is so supportive and so excited about what is happening with the Fever. And you look down the hall with...
The entire basketball world believed it knew exactly what the Indiana Fever were going to do this offseason. However, the front office has just dropped a bombshell that changes everything completely and shifts the balance of power across the league. For months, rumors had been circulating in the darkest corners of the internet about blockbuster trades, secret free agency meetings, and desperate attempts to find someone capable of protecting the most valuable asset in the history of women's basketball. Everyone expected safe, predictable roster moves, maybe a quiet draft pick or a veteran bench player looking for a final retirement run. Instead, the Fever GM has essentially confirmed the wildest speculation of the year, sending shockwaves throughout the league and making it clear that Sophie Cunningham is firmly on Indiana's radar. More importantly, she will be sharing the court with Caitlin Clark. This wasn't just a casual media slip or a vague suggestion about future plans. It was a calculated, aggressive declaration of intent proving Indiana is done playing it safe. The days of watching their franchise point guard get shoved, bullied, and knocked around by frustrated veterans are officially over. By bringing in a player with Cunningham's fierce reputation, the Fever are sending a loud warning to the rest of the league. But to truly understand why this move has triggered such panic behind the scenes, you have to look at what forced the front office's hand and the harsh reality of last season. If you watched Indiana Fever games last year, you already know the brutal truth of what was happening on the floor every night. Caitlin Clark didn't just enter the professional league, she stepped into what often felt like a war zone where the normal rules of basketball didn't seem to apply. From the opening tip, it became obvious that a significant portion of the league carried a serious chip on its shoulder regarding the unprecedented hype, sold-out arenas, and massive endorsement deals following her everywhere. Fans saw the hip checks disguised as normal fouls, the off-ball elbows, and the frightening moments where Clark was left on the floor while referees looked away. The media tried to frame it as routine rookie treatment, but anyone watching closely knew it was bordering on targeted aggression. The front office sat in luxury boxes watching their golden asset take punishment that would have sparked chaos in any other era of the sport. They quickly realized that having the best shooter in the world meant nothing if she constantly feared for her safety every time she attacked the basket. The roster had talent, but it lacked toughness. It lacked that intimidating, chaotic presence that makes opponents hesitate before delivering physical contact. That realization hit the GM like a ton of bricks. They didn't just need another scorer or a reliable rebounder. They needed an enforcer, someone willing to absorb technical fouls, pay fines, and immediately step into the face of anyone who dared challenge their star. That urgent need set the stage for one of the most shocking acquisitions in recent memory. Finding a player who fits that exact mold is extremely difficult in a league that penalizes aggression. But Indiana knew exactly who they were targeting. They didn't just want toughness, they wanted a legitimate competitor with the mindset of a fighter. Enter Sophie Cunningham. She is not the type of player concerned with popularity, media approval, or maintaining a polished image. That is exactly what makes her the missing piece. Throughout her career, she has built a reputation as a relentless, physical competitor who never backs down from confrontation regardless of who is standing across from her. She is the type of player opponents hate facing but teammates would go to war for. When past accusations surfaced about overly aggressive play or taunting elite players, Cunningham didn't soften her approach. She simply tightened her focus and played even harder. She represents a kind of old-school toughness that fits perfectly with the new identity Indiana is trying to build. Imagine opposing teams knowing that any cheap shot at Caitlin Clark will immediately bring Cunningham sprinting into the situation, ready to respond physically and emotionally. She doesn't just play basketball, she enforces it with intensity and fearlessness. And beyond attitude, she delivers actual production that makes her far more than just an enforcer. Behind the scenes, this move required a level of secrecy that resembled a political thriller. Indiana's entire executive structure has been reshaped, shifting from a patient rebuilding approach to a ruthless win-now mentality. Experienced leadership changes signaled a dramatic cultural shift within the organization. Salary cap limitations were tight, and rival teams would have done everything possible to block such a pairing. So the Fever operated quietly, strategically restructuring contracts and managing roster space with precision. The confirmation that eventually leaked wasn't accidental, it was intentional. A power move designed to establish dominance before the season even begins. The front office wanted the world to understand they had seen the problem, recognized the physical toll on their star, and acted decisively. While Indiana was celebrating internally, chaos was brewing elsewhere. The Phoenix Mercury situation had been deteriorating for some time, and it helps explain Cunningham's willingness to embrace a new chapter. The roster was aging, locker room dynamics were unstable, and the pressure of managing veteran egos created a stagnant environment. Younger players struggled to find their voice in a system that felt increasingly rigid. As rumors spread that Cunningham was considering a move, management reportedly panicked, realizing they were about to lose a key source of energy and toughness. They attempted to convince her to stay, but competing against a franchise like Indiana, offering a larger spotlight, bigger role, and a chance to protect the league's most talked-about player, made the decision almost inevitable. Once the confirmation became public, rival executives across the league reacted with frustration and suspicion. Almost immediately, accusations of tampering and backdoor negotiations began circulating. In a tightly regulated league, the sudden pairing of a superstar rookie with a fierce veteran naturally raised questions. But more than anything, it revealed fear of what Indiana was building. For the past season, defensive strategies against Caitlin Clark were simple: be physical, wear her down, and force others to beat you. That entire approach has now been completely dismantled. Teams can no longer overcommit to her without leaving elite shooters open, and they cannot play overly physical defense without risking immediate retaliation from Cunningham. The tactical implications are enormous. Clark draws double teams the moment she crosses half court, bending defenses beyond recognition. Previously, Indiana struggled with inconsistent perimeter shooting when she passed out of pressure. Now, Cunningham provides a reliable, fearless scoring threat capable of punishing every defensive collapse. Even more dangerous is the pick-and-pop dynamic between the two. Defenders face impossible decisions: fight through screens, switch onto faster players, or trap and risk open shots. Every option leads to breakdowns. Beyond tactics, there is a psychological shift. Cunningham brings emotional fire, trash talk, and a refusal to let opponents intimidate Indiana's roster. That presence alone changes how teams approach the game before it even begins. Inside the locker room, the impact is just as significant. Players like Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell are no longer forced to carry both offensive responsibility and emotional leadership. The environment has transformed into a more aggressive, focused, and confident space. Indiana is no longer hoping to compete, they are preparing to dominate. This move also carries massive commercial implications. Clark already draws global attention, but adding Cunningham turns Indiana into a media spectacle. Every game becomes must-watch entertainment. Every moment becomes potential viral content. The Fever are not just building a team, they are building a brand fueled by intensity, controversy, and winning ambition. Ultimately, the Fever have made their message clear. They are no longer passive observers in the league's hierarchy. They are actively reshaping it. And as the new season approaches, one question remains: who in the league is actually ready to stand in front of what Indiana is about to unleash? And winning ambition. Ultimately, the Fever have made their message clear. They are no longer passive observers in the league's hierarchy. They are actively reshaping it. And as the new season approaches, one question remains: who in the league is actually ready to stand in front of what Indiana is about to unleash?